What inappropriate things do female coworkers do to male colleagues? I have one nip that's always erect. It's a side effect from when it was pierced. Had a female coworker who loved to walk by and flick it or outright pinch it. Didn't matter if I was talking to people or just passing her in the hallway. She thought it was playful and would do it all the time. I found it emasculating and embarrassing and asked her to stop repeatedly. It was annoying as F. I wanted to handle it quietly, but she wouldn't stop. Apparently, I was just too sensitive. Actually, it's my nip that's sensitive. It's okay because you're gay. Gay guys like it. Solution. She did it to me as we were entering a room for a staff meeting. I said in a slightly above normal voice in front of our entire team, "I need you to stop touching my nips. Never touch me again." You could hear a pin drop. Got an email from my boss later that day. Your issue has been addressed. It will not happen again. How did a comment about my nips become the most viewed thing I've ever done on the internet? This one I see in the military a lot. Don't demand equality and treatment like men just to turn around and pull the "but I'm a female, I shouldn't have to do this" excuse. At a company meeting in front of a lot of our coworkers, a woman snuck up behind me and began to give me a neck rub without asking me for permission. I was not pleased, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make a scene. When female colleagues massage my neck/shoulder region with one hand while I'm at my desk. Reverse the roles and I would have been seen as the creep. Oh dear. Yeah, massage creeps crop up in all sorts of situations, and I might have briefly flirted with being one for a while, but mostly in my circle of friends, and I will discourage all of that non-consensual touchy-feely crap in others to my dying day. I had a coworker who couldn't wait to tell you about her medical issues. No matter how personal, no matter how much I asked her not to, I got a blow-by-blow of her pap, rectal exam, colonoscopy, and bathroom problems. I wasn't interested in her gynecological issues nor her gastrointestinal issues. Leave me out of it. I have a coworker who's in her 40s and is married with children. Every time I walked past her or I'm near her, she always calls me some pet name like baby or hot stuff. Sometimes it's a little more mundane, like handsome, but either way, she says it out loud where not only staff but students could also hear, and that's super awkward for me. When I used to be a cashier supervisor in retail, about 18 to 19 years old at the time, there was one girl cashier who asked me to come help her. She poked my stomach in front of a customer at the register where she was ringing up his products. I kinda just brushed it off and was very direct with this old man in his 50s who just watched this girl poke me. "Have a nice day, sir." He looked at me with a smile on his face, trying to hold back laughter. I was pretty embarrassed, but I didn't show it. On another occasion, she turned around and pointed her butt at me while looking at me and pointing at it. I think it probably has to be the weirdest way a girl has ever shown interest in me. Bonus story, while working at this retail job, I would greet guests coming through the front entrance. One time, 2 older ladies walked in and I said, "Hey guys, how are you today?" They kind of looked at me funny. About 30 minutes later, my store manager walks over and pulls me aside asking if I called 2 old ladies guys. I thought he was joking and smiled/chuckled. He was completely serious. They filed a complaint against me. Word to the wise, avoid calling older women guys. Don't touch my beard unless I invite you to do it. I don't care how big or fluffy it looks, leave it be. Bringing your hand that close to someone's face is kind of an intimate gesture. Just don't do it. I've had some women laugh at me because I don't drink, or drink as heavy as the other dudes, and I get told to grow a pair. I'm sorry, does being a male require me to drink my butt off all the time? A, I'm not drinking because I don't want so many calories because I sit my butt down at my desk all day. B, I'm Asian, and I can't physically take nearly as much alcohol as most burly guys. And C, I'm picky with my alcohol. If it tastes like pee to me, I don't like it. Stop asking me when me and my girlfriend are getting married. I'm already living that. Steve, you're 30, why don't you have kids? Coworker, I've told you, Mrs. Steve has endometriosis and is being treated for it, and it's not an option currently. Leave me the frick alone about it. But Steve, don't you want to have kids? Your kids would be so cute. Rinse, repeat. I have a female coworker that likes to sit on the arm of my chair while we're supposed to do something work-related together. I mean, just pull up a chair and sit next to me. It's not like there aren't any chairs around. Yeah, just because I'm the only guy, that doesn't mean I automatically have to do all the lifting or damn furniture moving. I wasn't hired as a mule, and they would lose their minds if I told them, "I don't clean, that's a woman's job." Don't call me hun or darling or any of those. I have a name. I'm not calling anyone babe or dame. And don't fricking touch me. I don't want a hug. I don't want to be playfully slapped. I don't want to be grabbed. We're not friends. I'll shake your hand. I'm not your pet project to feed your ego that you feel you know what looks good and what doesn't. Don't like my hair or clothes? Too fricking bad. If it's in the dress code, you shouldn't care. If I want to change my look, then I will change it, not because you think this would look good on me or that it would make me look more presentable. If I commented on your too short skirt or tight butt, skin-colored leggings, I'm sure I'd be pulled in front of HR. A few years ago, the HR manager, a woman around the same age as me, found out that it was my birthday. She got excited, grabbed my hand and led me, holding my hand the whole way, to the general manager's office to tell him that it was my birthday. I was super uncomfortable the whole time, both for her making a big deal over my 37th birthday as if I were turning 7 instead, and because she was holding my hand. I didn't know what to do, and she finally realized that she shouldn't be holding an employee's hand in front of the general manager, and she thankfully let go. I know it made the writer of the story very uncomfortable, but the image of a grown man, and not even a young one at that, being led off like a school kid is quite funny. Please, don't lift my shirt up to look at my chest and back. Yes, I know I'm hairy. If I did that to you, I'd be fricking fired. I think we can agree that lifting someone's shirt clearly crosses the line. I'm retired now, but women felt free to use the men's room whenever the women's room was occupied. I'd walk in and be told to get out. Men using the women's room would have caused a stir. Also, they completely ignore the dress code. Women could get away with wearing shorts and flip-flops to the office, but men had to wear slacks and acceptable non-sneaker shoes. I don't care if a woman uses the men's room, but if they told me to get out while doing so, I would absolutely refuse. If you're the one bending the rules, you have to be on your best behavior. Making statements about men in uniform being a fantasy for them. If I walked up to you in a coffee shop and told you I have a fantasy of doing MILFs or blondes or baristas or 21-year-olds, etc., while rubbing your arm, I would be in deep crap. Don't try to expose body parts to avoid a ticket. If I accidentally let my wang show on a traffic stop, I'd catch another charge. Don't invite me into your home if the reason you called me does not require it. It is very uncomfortable telling you 4 times that I do not need a cup of coffee. Yes, I know your kids are at school and your husband is at work, you've told me a half-dozen times. But I'm here because someone drove over your mailbox and I'd really like to just finish this call and get back into my car because it's really cold and my lunch started 3 minutes before this call came out. Honestly, it's incredibly uncomfortable turning down advances while at work. I could be in a very isolated setting with a woman, or worse, a teenager, on a mundane call. Women can get nasty even when you turn them down as politely and respectfully as possible. I don't want you telling people I touched you or made an advance or insert unprofessional action here. Everyone hates cops now. Everyone loves a scandal and would believe you before any investigation. I have called supervisors and partners to a scene because I wanted someone there with me just because of a woman's statements or actions. Civil service is a lot like your food server. We're being polite because it's part of the job. Don't take my politeness as flirting. I've had a coworker who would jokingly slap my face. I asked her to stop many times. She would still slap me in the face. Either kinda hard on the face or as hard as she could on the arm. Told my boss if she slapped me again, I'd slap her right back, and got in trouble for even saying it. I wanted to add something. I agree completely with everyone saying I shouldn't have said I'd slap her back. However, at the time, I still think it outlined the hypocrisy of the situation. After following a conversation, my manager told me that if it happened again, to come back to him with CCTV footage, which covers 99% of where we work. He's an alright boss. I think he panicked at my remarks initially. Had a female coworker that would pinch people. She thought it was cute flirting. No, it's not cute to leave significant bruises all over my arms and chest. She even drew blood a few times because she dug in her nails so hard. Finally got her to stop by avoiding her at all costs and keeping at least an arm's length away from her. Oh yeah, that's definitely inappropriate behavior in the workplace and battery. Report that and escalate to police report if it's not being handled in-house. Just because you're a guy doesn't mean that it's not wrong. You and your boss should be taking this seriously. Don't put up with her behavior. You deserve a safe work environment. Number 1. My muscles are not free to touch just because they look big today. Number 2. Neither is my hair or beard. Number 3. No, I will not comment on your appearance because I don't care how you look and I won't validate or invalidate whatever nonsense you're feeling today. 4. Every request that begins with "a real man would," well, I guess I'm not a real man. Number 5. Not feeling like any undesirable or inconvenient chore is mine by default because I'm a man. Understand real man statements for what they are. Attempted manipulation. It's an immediate red flag that forces me to closely evaluate the statement and typically ends with me ignoring it on principle. This whole series of stories is just giving me flashbacks to being a barista in a coffee shop with loads of regulars. There were some female customers there who treated a few of the workers like a lot of these women treat their colleagues. Where I live, a lot of older women, older than 20s me, like 40, but not like 80, and more typically mothers, tend to refer to younger men by somewhat odd pet names. For example, honey, love, darling, dear, pet, and good lad. I imagine it's because they're just so used to referring to their children, who may well be close to my age, as such, often when I'm very much their peer or even on occasion their superior. At worst, it's a touch condescending and consequently rude, and not that inappropriate, and it's commonly understood to be nice and well-meaning. However, outside the context of my own culture, for example when dealing with US peers whose workplaces are more corporate, it comes across as super weird and inappropriate and makes our US colleagues feel uncomfortable and harassed, which makes me uncomfortable. It puts me in the awkward position of having to call them on it. A relatively small complaint to have though, which is nice. Come to Yorkshire, the only time people don't call each other love is between two men. I went to visit an agency on Stoke-on-Trent. Our account manager had told me at a previous work trip abroad that affectionate duck was used over love in that area of the UK. They had a cook on site, and she came into the meeting room to see what we wanted for lunch. As they introduced me, she went, "All right, duck," and I nearly lost it with laughter. Please, just stop commenting about how cute I am and stop pulling my goddamn cheeks every time you're talking to me. I'm a 25-year-old grown man, for frick's sake. I should say that I do let the ladies do it because they're like my grandmas, and most heartbreaking of all is that they don't have a family to call their own. So they consider the 3 young people, me and my best friends AJ and Akash, as their sons and grandsons. Women would just sit on my desk and try to be flirty and this or that, trying to be suggestive or alluring, and it was just awkward as frick. Also, feeling me. Yeah, I lift, but grabbing my chest or shoulders or biceps and whatnot, imagine the outrage if I was a girl. It's the hypocrisy that tees me off more than anything. I've had it happen in several workplaces. Just because you're a guy, so you're obviously into female attention, and fit, these women believe they can feel you up all over your torso and sometimes go for the butt. Like, why don't we get off the clock and ask each other's permission to start groping each other? Maybe I'm not interested in you. If I walked up to any woman at work and said, "Wow, your hooters are huge today," grab bosom. "Those squats are working, cutie," grab butt. "Hey, can you get me that list for X," hand on thigh. Those things would lose me my job immediately, but women can comment on physique and feel me up constantly with no repercussions. The few times I've gone to a boss about it, I'm the butthole. Stop coming up to me with office gossip. You're wasting my time. I don't care if Jessica is sleeping with so-and-so or if Carol is a real witch. Stop coming up to me to show me your 3-year-old put his shirt on backwards with a 10-minute backstory. I've never met your family. I don't want to meet your family. You're my co-worker and not my friend. I don't care. When I have a mustache, don't call it a prawn stash. Don't make jokes about me being inappropriate with children. It's facial hair, not a sexual organ. Please, do not touch me. Just don't touch me. I wouldn't touch you. Don't touch me. And now for the actual inappropriate acts, which only seems to come from women who are 40 or older. Don't call my haircut or outfit or anything hot. If I did that, I'd be in trouble. Don't talk to me about your romantic life. I don't want to hear about your man going down on you just as much as you don't want to hear about me railing my latest Tinder match. Don't ask my help with moving some files from a computer to a USB drive if those files are exposed photos of yourself that you've recently taken. Don't rub your chest, moan and lift your shirt, exposing your 55-year-old bosom in a bra while exclaiming, "None of y'all could handle this." Well, at least that last one was fired. Don't slap my butt. Don't grab my waist. Don't touch my chest. I've been harassed in most jobs I've had. I happen to have mostly worked in female-dominated industries. It's more of a mild annoyance or inconvenience for me because I've never felt threatened or in danger, but that doesn't make it right. Yeah, While it's true that these kinds of things happening to men can be very upsetting and even traumatizing, for the most part we don't feel physically threatened by the harassers. It's good to see this as a call for solidarity against people who use inappropriate behavior across both genders. Had a woman at work fired for walking over to one of her subordinates' desks when he had a question and sat on his lap. I'm guessing he made a loud enough stink because security escorted her out that Friday. Yeah, I should think about that. My female coworkers have a weird obsession with my butt. Can't even count how many times it's been slapped by them. Some of them are okay looking while others are downright ugly. I work for a middle-aged Italian man, and the one time I brought it up, he asked me if I was gay. I declined and he told me to suck it up. It doesn't bother me that much, but I know if I'd do the same thing I would be fired and possibly charged with sexual harassment. I think that double standard bothers me more. A bunch of them constantly talk about people's sexuality. I don't really care, but they keep insisting I'm gay. Not in a negative way, because they always say, not that it's a bad thing. I guess it's just C-wordness more than anything else. Females in Australia have the yearly charity firefighter calendars up. These are shirtless calendars of muscle men. This is in a public service office in Australia. I'm not offended, but if I put up a bikini calendar, I would immediately be in trouble. Just make sure it's a charity bikini calendar. And no, not the kind where the woman is named Charity. Do not talk to men about how much you hate men. You put them in a lose-lose scenario. If they agree with you, they're self-hating. If they argue with you, you brand them as a chauvinist pig. So please, simply ask them, did you literally just come over here to talk to me about how much you hate people like me? Then they're in the position of having to defend themselves. Oh, I don't mean all men. You literally just said, I hate all men. Yeah, that's just a figure of speech. I just hate the sexist men. I didn't mean you. Now, I get it, and she didn't mean me, and I agree because sexist men were a constant hassle each and every day, but the word sexist in that phrase matters. It matters because I've had more than one friend go off the deep end on that phrase and forget that not all, insert gender here, is a terrible piece of crap. Collective grouping is lazy and leads to false conclusions. I hate when reps bat their eyes to try to convince you to go with their product over another. I will make my decision on efficacy and price, thank you very much, not on whether or not you'll give me an ocular pull job. I had a coworker who was sitting on a flimsy makeshift table and fell through it. He got stuck and the girls surrounded him and tried to take his wang out of his jeans. Pretty sure it made him uncomfortable because he shouted at them. To clarify, they weren't actually trying to take his wang out. They laughed and joked about it and fondled the general area of his zipper and tugged at his belt. One was shouting, "Get his belt! Get his belt!" The guy's name was Patrick and the book he was reading got ruined. Fell into a knocked-over bottle of Mountain Dew code red. Where do you work? He works from home. Wow, that is messed up. Poor guy. I work in an environment that's heavily female dominant. Until our 2 new hires started yesterday, I was the only man in the office. Don't tell me the details about your life at home. I really can't explain in words how much I don't give an F about what your husband said that made you mad, or your dealings with so-and-so and that said something, and what you said in response. I get that women process stuff differently overall, and I know they aren't looking for solutions, they just want empathy, so I listen and put up with it. But there are 2 women on my team about whom I know far more than any man not married to them has a right to. General cattiness. For instance, this one old lady would complain about how the younger girls would dress like working girls, while she wore deep-cut blouses that showed her wrinkly old chest. I don't care what anyone wears, but I never understood that. I'm a younger female who's often worked in environments like this. I've never worked in environments that had dress codes except for things that would be safety issues, like wearing flip-flops, which was never really enforced, even. On a couple of occasions, at different places, I had co-workers, always middle-aged and female, get offended at something I wore which was something modest. The older ones often wore things inappropriate, bra straps popping out, sheer clothing, too tight pants, etc. But I'm the one who offends people. Stop asking my opinion about their bodies, like asking if those clothes make their bosoms or butts look big. Stop asking about my feelings when I only ask you to send an email to the supervisor about some pressing issues with accounts. Please don't talk aloud in the rec room while we're at lunch. Your romantic life is not that important for an audience. Stop saying things like, "Imagine a guy like him," pointing at me, but with a bigger beer belly, and trying to guess our wang sizes solely based on our hands or feet. Don't use my shoulders to cry on because I look like your older brother when your last Tinder boyfriend slept with your friend. Oh, and don't show pictures of you wearing some lingerie and ask if your boyfriend will enjoy that treat. All these examples I pointed out happened along the years. I'm only in my mid-30s and along the years moved between jobs several times, and these are just some of the things I've remembered that if the genders were reversed would be made into a call to HR. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories, linked at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Genius, give Am I the Jerk a shot, linked in the description too. Either way, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.